Welcome to the Scholarship Guide for Busy Parents. This is the first video of 4 in the Scholarship Guide. This guide is written to help you understand how scholarships work so you can pursue the right scholarships for your family. We all want scholarships. Free money for college sounds great. But we really need to understand what we're talking about when we talk about scholarships. There's many different types of scholarships and grants, and it's important that you understand so you can pursue the right scholarships for your situation. So let's get into it. So the first concept we need to understand is that net price is what matters most. Lots of colleges out there are listed at very high prices, but some of those colleges don't actually get those high prices. They offer scholarships and other discounts as a way to attract students, and ultimately the cost that you pay is much less. So it's cost of attendance minus your free money equals your net price. A lot of times people are talking about their list price or cost of attendance, and that's easily found out. It's published everywhere. It's on colleges' websites. The actual net price that you're going to pay is much more difficult. So let's look at some averages out there. So the average private school is about $60,000 today, and that ranges between probably 40 and 90 right now. And the average public school is about $28,000, but there are more and less expensive states as well. Now, if we look at the average net cost, the private schools come down from $60,000 to $34,000 after scholarships and other free money. And the public schools on average come down from $28,000 to $20,000 on average. Another interesting statistic is the average grant aid per student, or the average free money per student, is about $10,700 right now. Now, of course, you're not average. So I think that's the caution when it comes to looking at all these averages, is most families are going to be dramatically different than average. What we don't know is if you're going to end up paying more or paying less, and that's your job to figure out, and that's what we're going to learn today. So let's look at a couple example colleges out there. So let's start with some low-cost state schools. Florida State and Iowa State are low cost at about $22,000 or $23,000. And again, that's total cost of attendance. That's tuition, room and board, books, fees, beer, and pizza. The whole cost of a typical year of college. And again, Florida State and Iowa are much lower than the average schools. They do offer some average grant aid as well, so that brings it down to $14,000 and $15,000. Now, if we look at the highest cost states out there, California and Pennsylvania are two examples. Their colleges average $38,000 and $36,000. After the free money, it's $26,000 and $30,000. So you can see there's a pretty wide swing from the most expensive to the least expensive states even. So then we have the private schools. We have Creighton at $60,000, Stanford at $78,000. And this information is from a couple years ago because of the delays in getting the data to us. After scholarships, Creighton is down to $32,000 and Stanford's all the way down to $18,000 because Stanford has a reputation of being very generous. A couple others, Santa Clara and Tulane, both in the $80,000 range, but after aid, they come in relatively expensive on average at about $50,000 each. So let's talk about the free money. That's the whole goal of this scholarship guide. The free money is mostly scholarships and grants, and there's all kinds of different types. So let's look at the top 5 sources of aid. First, we're going to take out number 2, that federal loans. And we're going to talk about the other 4 because those are all scholarships and grants. They're all free money of various sorts. Number 1 is institutional scholarships, the biggest piece of the pie. And again, this is aid that is coming directly from the colleges. And we're going to cover it in great detail in video 2. Federal loans, we're skipping the loans. Next we have federal Pell Grants and state grants. And we're going to cover the grants in the second half of this video. And finally, we have private and employer grants and scholarships, which we're going to cover in great detail in video 3. I also want to remind everybody to become a Scholarship Guide subscriber so you can receive all the Scholarship Guide resources. Remember, we've got this SAI estimator, the list of student exchanges and reciprocity agreements, the state resources website, the top 20 scholarship website, colleges that meet 100% of need, and finally the scholarship priority checklist. We also have a bonus video, 5 strategies to turbocharge your scholarship search on Google. So click the link in the description below to sign up for the scholarship resources. So now let's get back to the scholarship guide for busy parents. So let's talk a little bit more about the cost of attendance minus free money equals your net price. We can expand it and look at more detail as we go along here. So let's start with cost of attendance. Again, that expands to tuition, room and board, books, personal expenses, and travel. So all of those are officially costs that we need to understand. And then the free money can be broken up into scholarships and grants. Scholarships are need-based aid, merit aid, private scholarships, athletic scholarships, and then finally the grants from the federal and state government. Once we have the cost of attendance minus our free money, that gives us the net price. And from there, we have to pay that net price, whether it's from loans or savings or 529s or all the different ways that we can have money set aside to help pay for college. And that, of course, is a topic for a different day. So we keep talking about scholarships and grants. So what's the difference? Well, not much. Scholarships and grants are all aid that we do not have to pay back. It's just that the government tends to use the word grants, and most colleges now use scholarships for just about all the aid that they provide. But it really is just semantics. So one important division between the aid that we can receive is some of it is need-based aid, some of it is merit aid. Now, need-based aid is generally based on the income and assets of the parents and the student. So they take a snapshot of your financial situation and they use that to determine if you're going to qualify for aid. Now, merit aid is more typically based on your academics, your talents, and other reasons that a college may like your student and therefore provide aid to that student and encourage them to attend their university. Merit aid is, of course, going to come up again in videos 2 and 3 as we talk about the institutional scholarships and the private scholarships, because they both can have merit components. And then, of course, we have need-based aid. Now, need-based aid can actually be divided into 2 categories, where we just have general need-based aid, where a lot of families will qualify for some need-based aid. But there's also high-need situations, often referred to as Pell eligible, where families have a higher need than average and they are eligible for more programs. So generally, need-based aid applies for scholarships from the individual colleges, outside scholarships, and you also have to show need in order to qualify for work study and subsidized loans. Now, some families will show a high need situation, so they'll be eligible for everything we just listed. But on top of that, they may also get Pell grants. They may get Pell eligible scholarships. And then there's some state grant programs that are a little more need-based and high need-based, where you need to have a high need, not just need. So how do we know where we stand? Well, I've created a chart that can help you, but essentially based on your income, you're going to fall into one of 3 categories. So we've got the high need category, which is the green area, the blue area where you're going to qualify for need-based aid at just about all of the colleges. If you're in the white area, then you're going to qualify for need-based aid primarily at the private colleges that are more expensive. And then eventually you're not going to qualify for any need-based aid. So let's put some numbers on that. So to be in the high need category, generally your income's going to have to be below $90,000, maybe even 70 or 60 in some situations. To have need at all colleges, usually you fall between 90 and 160,000. Once you get to 160 to 350, now it's only private schools. And then once your earnings are more than 350,000, you're less likely to qualify for any need whatsoever. But we need to caution you that this is a moving target, and they look at a lot more than just your income. They also look at your assets, and they use a number of different formulas. So it's not nearly as simple as what we're talking about. So you really need to understand how it works and figure it out specifically for your situation. So that's how need-based aid works. So let's get into the grant programs. So we've got the federal grant, which is currently at $7,395. It's called the Pell Grant. And if you're Pell eligible, then you would qualify for this grant. Now, some families will get the entire amount, and sometimes you'll get a partial amount, depending on your situation. And And then of course the states are also offering grants and scholarships as well. So this chart shows how much each state offers per student, and you can see some states are much more generous than others. But let's look at a couple quick examples. So let's start with Georgia. Georgia has a mixture of need-based and merit-based awards. As an example, they have the Zell Miller Scholarship, which is a merit-based award. So it is merit-based, so you need to have a GPA of 3.7 or better and a 1200 SAT. And if you qualify, then this scholarship is worth about $5,000 at Georgia Tech and University of Georgia, and a little bit less at some of the other colleges because it's based on the amount of their actual tuition. They also have other programs like the Hope Scholarship, the Georgia Tuition Equalization Grant, and then something called the SEA Grant, or the Scholarship for Engineering Education. In this example, they're offering aid specifically to students that are studying engineering because they're trying to grow the number of engineers in Georgia. And that's not uncommon, that states have specific mandates where they're trying to get more nurses, more teachers, more engineers, or other professions. And because of that, they're providing help for that type of education. Let's look at my home state, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin offers a number of different programs as well, but two key ones would be the Wisconsin Grant, again, which is highly need-based. So if you qualify for the Pell Grant, then you might also qualify for the state grant, which is an additional $3,150 maximum, and you could get a partial grant as well. And we also have the Academic Excellence Scholarship. Now this is a scholarship that's awarded to the top students at each high school. In the larger high schools, it would be 3 or 4 students. In the smaller high schools, it may only be the top student. But that student would receive a scholarship worth $2,250 per year times 4 years. So that's a pretty generous scholarship, but again, it's very limited to just the top students. So that's a couple examples of state aid, but it's important to realize that for most states, the state aid is going to be restricted to state residents. In other words, you have to live in the state to qualify. And it's also often restricted that you have to use it in the state. And sometimes you have to use it in the state at the public schools. Sometimes private schools will work as well. So you really need to understand your particular state's programs and how you fit in with those programs. So to get more information, I put all the links in the scholarship guide materials so you can get all the links for each state's program, where you can go and look up your state and get all the details and figure out how it will work for you. All right, so that's all we have for this video. In video 2 of this series, we'll cover institutional scholarships. And that's all the scholarships that come from the colleges themselves. We'll get into the need-based and merit-based programs that colleges offer. In video 3 is private scholarships, scholarships from corporations and where we work and play, and parents and grandparents. Video 4 is your scholarship plan, where we put this all together and come up with a plan that's right for your family. That's all for this video. We'll see you in the next video.